Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the SoCal Prep Report. I'm Estrella, along with Bob Gibson, and we're happy you joined us today. Man, Bob, we are in the middle of it now. It's midweek. It's beyond the midweek of the season. If you count the playoffs, next week will be midweek. But
That's true.
For most everybody, it's midweek now.
And the plot thickens.
Mid-season.
The plot continues to thicken across the board in the city section, in the southern section, all over the place. Teams are really starting to figure out who they are. We're getting an idea here who the teams to be reckoned with are.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, let's take a quick look at the scoreboard from last week. No scores in particular. We're just throwing a hodgepodge out every week. Usually never the same two, but every now and then some you just can't avoid.
It's a big section we got to cover here.
Yes, we do. Let's take a look first at Tustin. Your boy Myron Miller back, Bob, and he's tearing it up.
Surprise,
the Tillers.
Surprise, surprise. Tustin has a running game, right? Nobody would have ever guessed that.
No.
I mean, all the record-breaking running backs there. 63-27 over Western, and Casey Carr III is the latest in the long line of great running backs at Tustin High School. 256 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's nothing compared to what some other guys have done. If you think those are big numbers, in a Myron Miller offense, 400 500-yard rushing days are no stranger.
Yeah, are they running the wing T still?
Yeah,
the Delaware wing T. That's Miller's. That's his bread and butter.
Yep, the double wing. They run that thing right. It's pitch and trap, pitch and trap. That's what it is. Rarely is a pass thrown in that offense.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of teams aren't happy that Coach Miller's back at Tustin because, again, like you say, Bob, big lineage. You know, one of the names that jumps off the page for me at Tustin is Frosty Rucker.
Oh.
Rucker was a devastating linebacker and fullback for Tustin. Ended up, great job in college at USC. Then he went to he's in the pros now. He's defensive tackle now.
Yeah,
How do you go from a running back to a defensive lineman, man? That's some growth spurt right there.
Everybody at Tustin's a running back at one time or another.
Holy moly.
You're right. That's lost in that all those great defensive players. And actually, Tustin High has more players in the NFL than any other school right now. That's hard to believe, but that is true.
The only other guy I think that runs the wing T better than Tustin does is Markham Miller, the former guy from Bloomington. This guy set national records and kept breaking his records every year with different running backs. But the wing T is just, when you run it, it's ugly football. But once you perfect it, it can't be stopped. It's hard to stop.
It all originated out of Bloomington. That's true. Everybody kind of runs a hybrid of that offense that came out of Bloomington years ago.
Markham is the godfather of that here in the southern section. And again, he had maybe 2 pass plays in his whole arsenal in his playbook. That's it.
Yeah.
Line it up, Cheyenne Caldwell and Greg Oliver, and they would just line up and run.
Because your quarterback's not really a quarterback. Your quarterback is just another offensive lineman, is what it really turns out to be.
Another runner. We'll see where Tustin lines up. Congrats to Myron Miller. Looks like he's on his way. Let's continue on. Rancho Cucamonga, Upland. This game, these two teams were ranked 7 and 8 in their respective division. And this time, Upland coming away with a nice victory over Rancho Cucamonga, 30-23. Rancho Cucamonga has a deep-seated tradition recently in high school football. I mean, they're in the national top 50, Bob, and they're a lower division team. So they're doing a great job. But Upland this time, they got them 30-23. It was a great ball game. I watched that one.
And you wonder if this is just a blip on the radar for Rancho, or if this is a little bit of a changing of the guard out there in the Inland Empire. Whether Upland maybe is becoming that power, and maybe is Rancho coming back. But you're right. Rancho has really become one of the stronger programs, in the past 7 or 8 years out there.
It's second place for the Inland Empire because Corona Centennial. There's Compton Centennial, Corona Centennial. There's a lot of Centennials. But definitely. Corona Centennial's got the Inland Empire and pretty much most of the nation locked down.
Very true.
What did you think about it?
Logan gets whoever he wants out there, right?
I'll tell you, man. All right, let's continue on. Thousand Oaks in a big one, 61-55 victory. St. Bonaventure over Thousand Oaks. Man, this game went into overtime, Bob. There's probably 30 overtimes based on that score.
Well, what's in the water up there? Didn't we do Valencia and who was it a week ago that was 66-63 or whatever it was?
65-60 with Valencia. Yeah, it was.
Good night. Look at these numbers these offenses are putting up. Someone's got to start playing some defense up there in that neck of the woods.
Oh, they're playing defense. I think most of those scores were pick sixes and fumble recoveries, run back for touchdowns, man. That's what it is. Let's just lie about it right
55.
now.
Well, we know St. Bonaventure's been a strong program too over the years. Some of that area has come down just a little bit in the last couple of years. We saw them be really strong powers 5, 6, 7 years ago. But
Right.
maybe this is a return out there with Oaks Christian and all those schools out there.
Well, Riddell left Oaks Christian, and
I
Oaks
know it.
Christian it seems like a shell of their former selves. They were so dominant.
So true.
Under Riddell.
Those schools out there were just running it up and having big years, but hasn't been that way in the last couple.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. These things run in cycles.
know.
All right, got some highlights for you from the Paramount Downey game. This is a San Gabriel Valley League affair. Let me tell you something about these two teams. Downey is one of the oldest high schools in Southern California. I mean, they were built at the turn of the century, Bob. And I'm not talking 2000. I'm talking like 1899, something like
The
that.
1900s.
Yeah, exactly. The 1900s, yeah. The good old days. The good old days. Anyways, Paramount High School, as we all know, and at Paramount, they got a brand new stadium, as did Downey. These guys are stablemates. When Downey and Paramount used to get together, it was involved a sold-out stadium and about 8,000 people. In the day, and it's good to see the rivalry still alive. A 21-20 victory by Paramount over Downey in overtime. I have a feeling somebody missed an extra point somewhere, Bob.
That may have been
You
very well what happened here, but boy, what a fun game this is. Between two rivals. Every time you get rivals together, that's just what's fun, and to have it be this close at the end. Your guy Tony Castillo had to be out there cheering on Paramount, right?
Nah, Tony's a slug. He's asleep by 9 o'clock. He'd never make one of these games. That's Downey in the white, though. These guys have a beautiful stadium. They in Warren. There's just been a proliferation of new stadiums, a lot of bond money coming out. So people are getting the new fields, the new stadiums. Downey put theirs up about 8 years ago. It's like a college stadium, Bob. It's beautiful.
Well, and that's what's really fun now. Now you got all these new facilities, across LA County that
Pioneer
are starting
got
to
one.
be, Pioneer, exactly.
Cal High.
So really cool to see because when Carson kind of cleaned up their field as well, put in that new part of that new stadium and that field over there, you started to see a lot of these old schools kind of get some new facilities, and I think it breathes new life into these programs because these 80, 90-year-old fields are well played out, and it's fun to see some of these fields and how good they look now, and I think the kids really kind of thrive on that.
Look at Paramount with the new uniforms, man. They used to be like a maroon color. It's kind of weird now, but hey, the uniforms help them win, right? Got a 21-20 victory in
I like that
overtime.
red and black combination.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's continue on. Let's look at some other scores. It was Diamond Ranch in Charter Oak. Kind of a weird score. I don't think Charter Oak has ever been handled by Diamond Ranch, but a 14-7 win.
You don't see that anymore.
No, Charter Oak is a power. You don't mess with Charter Oak. Lou Ferrar's been there. He's got as many wins as Bob Johnson. He's got over 300. And to see a 14-7 game at Diamond Ranch, that's crazy. But we're going to talk a little bit more about Charter Oak coming up here in just a few seconds, as they are part of the game of the week, the game to watch. But Diamond Ranch in Pomona, one of the newer high schools out there, holding their own against Charter Oak.
Well, I'd say it's the ebb and the flow. You mentioned one of the newer schools out there, and you're starting to see in a lot of these areas the newer schools. I can point to San Juan Hills in Orange County, which is a brand new school out there. Yorba Linda's got some new schools, and so they start taking some of that talent from the area, and all of a sudden it doesn't take long for some of these programs.
Everybody wants to play in the new stadium, baby.
Like a Diamond Ranch to get up there and start making a name for themselves. And you can, if they would have won that game, that would have been a huge win for that program.
Yes, indeed. And Salesian's another school you didn't mention. Salesian was basically a tiny little parochial school. I mean, you should have seen the football field, man. It was a dust bowl. Literally, it was a bunch of dirt and a goalpost that was kind of slanted off to the side. So when you're kicking field goals, you have to really do that soccer
really have
style
to line
thing.
it up.
Yeah, just to get a straight line on it. Some donor came in and gave them like $100 billion, and they built a beautiful college stadium there. And now Salesian, up until this season, has been kicking it. People are just flocking to play in the new field.
If you can find somebody who can write you a check and get your facilities, I'll tell you, it makes all the difference in the world.
I would
it
love
really
it.
does.
All right, let's move on to Trinity League action. We're going to have to talk about them. I know you guys get sick of it every week, but what are you going to do when it's the top league in the country? And let's take a look real quick. Orange Lutheran and St. John Bosco. We told you whoever lost this game is out. You're done. No way you're going to win a league championship. Orange Lutheran, blink, they're out.
Well, Orange Lutheran,
Servite's out too.
well, we kind of had a feeling that Bosco was going to win this game, but Lutheran really gave them a great run there for a while, and that program is really on the way back up, but it's still Bosco's league. right now. It's Bosco and Mater Dei, of course, but Bosco's trying to figure things out at the quarterback position. And I think they've done it now. I think they have kind of a two-headed monster going at the quarterback position. I think that's going to spell trouble for a lot of teams down the road. And guess what? They get Mater Dei this week.
Yeah.
So we get to find out really quick now who that top team in the Trinity League is.
That's right, we do. All right, let's go up to the top 10 now. Take a look at the Southern section. And of course, we're going to see Mater Dei sit in the top. As they should. They hung 70 points on Santa Margarita. They doubled up, man.
I was there.
70 to 35. I bet you they let them score 35 just so they could keep scoring.
You know what, though? Here's the interesting part. I called the game. They scored 10 touchdowns. The offense was running on all cylinders. But I'll tell you, the defense, I think they put some things on film for Bosco to look at that may be interesting because their pass defense was just a little bit suspect at times. There was some plays Santa Margarita put together through the air that just maybe there's a little chink in the armor, and if anybody can exploit that, Jason Negro at Bosco can probably do it, and we'll see, because that's the only team with the horses to be able to do it.
Listen, Jason Negro, Humpty Dumpty, and all the King's horses and men ain't going to beat Mater Dei this week. Let me just go on record as saying that now.
That's probably true.
All right?
So
put it on your. Although, and again, we're going to talk about the matchup. There you saw Santa Margarita losing to Mater Dei 70 to 35. Remember, Mater Dei is the top team in the country.
Right.
I mean, they did the same thing to the number 5 team in the country a while back, and the number 2. They just ripped up everybody.
Look, Santa Margarita would win every other league in Southern California. That's how good that Santa Margarita team is. But that just shows you how great Mater Dei is.
Now, not to be outdone was Corona Centennial. I think they hung 72 up this weekend and something like that. So they did it. Now I'm going to. Come on, Bob. Let's start dancing, man. What is this? We're not holding still, man. This is sports. It's live. We gotta bounce,
I
buddy.
want to kick the ball. I'm gonna kick.
Yep. St. John Bosco, number 3rd spot, followed by J. Sarah, Orange Luther, Mission Viejo, San Clemente, and look at Upland. Upland number 8 this week, ahead of Santa Margarita and Surfside. You still have 1, 2. Let's see, 3, 4, 5. You still got 6 Trinity League schools.
They're all represented. Even Surfside, who lost to J. Sarah week 1. So you're right. Surfside's out now. Orange Lutheran's out. I tell you, the J. Sarah matchup, we'll see if J. Sarah's for real. I don't know. J. Sarah may have a chance to finish 3rd in that league.
It'd be something if they won the league. They're in the running, brother.
Well, I'll tell you this. They're going to have to face, if we assume Mater Dei is going to beat Bosco and they're going to run away with it, then it's Bosco, J. Sarah for 2nd place in the league. Well, you just said the win. You just said Mater Dei is going to win the game.
Oh, they'll win that game. I'm talking about
right.
Yeah, but I gotta throw you off, Bob.
Well, Bosco, J. Sarah, though. I think that's for 2nd place in the league. And
I didn't really mean that, though. I just threw that out there. Come on, Bob. You know how this works, right?
That might be an interesting matchup down the line if it gets to that point. But still, every team in that league really good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it all bets out. But nobody's talking. Pop it back up again. Look at that South Coast. You got Mission Viejo and you have San Clemente on top of each other. And we'll see. I mean, a lot of people think, well, it's public school. It ain't going to happen. But, they may pop up and do something. We can't see that graphic again? Thank you.
There it is.
All right, there it is. There they are sitting at 6 and 7,
7.
man.
That's a good place for them right there because
San Clemente's so hard to gauge, though. They're not nasty like Mission Viejo, but they're efficient and they whip people's butts.
The nice part is those two are going to play one another, and then we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens because that's the beautiful part of a lot of this top 10 here. A lot of these teams are going to play one another. That's what's fun about it. You're going to see teams get eliminated and teams move up and down because they're going to play head to head.
All right.
That's what you want to see.
That's enough of that. Now let's go to Randy Rosenbloom. He's going to go ahead and get us up to date on the Los Angeles City section.
Welcome to our City section report. My name is Randy Rosenbloom. Got to start with Torres High School. They've really bounced back in the Northern League, and they did it in a huge way. 64-33 over a very good Franklin football team. The big story, of course, is Tyquan Gilmore. He rushes for 451 yards and scores 8 touchdowns on the ground. He also has an 82-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. 9 total touchdowns, 533 yards for Gilmore. Torres is 5-1. In the Western League, a huge win for Venice, 40-28 over Westchester. The story there was quarterback Dion Moore. He throws 5 touchdowns, all of them to his 6'3" senior outstanding wide receiver, Bryson Tremaine. Remember, Venice is playing without quarterback Luca Diamant, but Dion Moore is doing the job. Garfield in the Eastern League picks up a huge victory over Huntington Park, 48-22. The story there, is the kicker Jennifer Ibarra, the first girl ever to score points in a varsity football game at Garfield. Congratulations. How about Narbonne 48-13 winning at Carson in the Marine League? Another big performance for running back Jamar Jefferson. He rushes for 3 touchdowns for the Gauchos. Jalen Chapman throws for 2 more scores. Sultan Moala did have a pick 6 and a touchdown for Carson. Of course, he's the transfer for Banning, who's playing so well for the Colts. Arleta with a big upset in the East Valley. They knock off Grant 34-14. Bill Cohn's team runs the football well. They got a great running back in E.J. Gable. He had an outstanding game, but it was a trick play at the end of the half that gave Arleta's Mustangs the lead, and Grant never recovered. Marshall 48-6 over Lincoln in the Northern League. Marshall quietly is playing very good football behind their outstanding quarterback Daniel Soto. Soto in this one was 14 of 16 for 181 yards and 4 touchdowns. Final game I want to talk about from last week is San Fernando's big win over Reseda, 51-26. Trevor Gill, the outstanding running back, didn't carry it a whole lot of times, just 7 carries for 189 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Tigers are 4-2, and Robert Garcia's got an outstanding team. Some fabulous games this week, and we got to start with Dorsey and Crenshaw in the Coliseum League. Dorsey won its first game of the year. They're only 1-5, but it's been against a very difficult schedule. Crenshaw, Robert Garrett's team, is 4-2. Dorsey probably comes into Crenshaw as the underdog, but keep in mind the Dons have won the previous 2 meetings between these 2 teams. Last year was a tight battle early at the LA Memorial Coliseum, but Dorsey pulled away in the second half behind quarterback German Gutoy. Another outstanding game in the Marine League is Banning at Narbonne. You just question, can Banning step up against Narbonne, which has been the dominant team? Narbonne seems to break out in each and every Marine League game and win big. Another big game in the Marine League is San Pedro at Carson. Carson's going to have to slow down Sean Davenport. Of course, Eagle Rock against Torres in the Northern League. That will be a great game. Palisades against Fairfax should be another outstanding contest in the Western League. Of course, in volleyball, Granada Hills is playing fabulous in the West Valley League. They are the defending city champions. A big win over Chatsworth last week. They just continue to roll. Now, they lost Sarah Hagee, the LA City Player of the Year to graduation. She's playing at Grand Canyon College in the Western Athletic Conference this year. But it doesn't matter. Clarissa Bradford had a huge match against Chatsworth, and the team is doing great work. That's the scene in the city section. Back to our buddy in the studio.
Hey, right on, Randy. Appreciate it. That is the LA City update. And we're going to talk more about that Crenshaw-Dorsey game. But right now, we need to go to the high desert, talk to our boy, Carlos Peña.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's SoCal Prep Report. My name is Carlos Peña, and I'm bringing you football from the high desert, where tonight we're feeling Serrano taking on Sultana. Let's take it to the action now. Opening first quarter action. Serrano strikes first as quarterback R.J. Conkle hands off the ball to running back Tony Willis, who take the ball 35 yards in for the score, taking the lead 7-0. With a minute left in the quarter, Serrano quarterback R.J. Conkle connects with his receiver at the back of the end zone for a touchdown, taking the lead 14-0. Third quarter, ball on the 29. Serrano quarterback R.J. Conkle hands off the ball to number 24, Tony Willis, who breaks through an arm tackle and runs it in for the score, 24-0 Serrano. With 30 seconds left in the third, Sultana quarterback Michael Mendoza would run the ball in from 13 yards out for the score. Sultana optioned for a 2-point conversion as Michael Mendoza connected with a wide-open Tyler Pele for the 2 points, taking the score to 27-8. Fourth quarter action, Serrano with the ball on the 45. Quarterback R.J. Conkle tossed the ball back to number 10, Nicholas Reed Casey, who broke through the defense for the score, extending the lead to 33-8. Sultana quarterback Michael Mendoza quickly answered back with his long toss to number 13, Paul Gallardo, for the touchdown. They would miss the 2-point conversion, making the score 34-14. With the ball on the 10-yard line, backup quarterback number 16, Nathan Jacobson, would toss the ball to Tony Willis for the run-in and score. Serrano would make the point after. Rich Bob, an upset here in the high desert as the 0-5 Serrano High School beat Sultana 41-14. Let's take a look at some of the scores from around the desert. Apple Valley in a last-minute win over Oak Hills, 31-24. Burroughs, 47 over Hesperia, 10. And Victor Valley, 48 over Granite Hills, 6. Silverado big over Adelanto. Riverside Prep, 47 over Malibu, 21. and Big Bear 22 over Rio Hondo 13. An update on our High Desert leaderboard with some changes. Levy Taylor from Silverado with 2,120 passing yards. Latavian Staples hangs on to the number 1 spot in receiving with 893, and the big guy, Eteru E.J. Ane from Silver Valley with 1,023 rushing yards. Now a quick look at the High Desert top 5. Apple Valley at the top of the list, easy. Silverado right behind. Now they only had 1 loss, and that was to Apple Valley themselves. Big Bear also in that second place slot, but Silverado with a tougher schedule is number 2. Burroughs, the school to watch out for, is steady in number 4. They get a chance to prove themselves against Apple Valley next week in our game of the week. Rich Bob, that closes up this week's report from the High Desert. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Carlos, and thanks for the coffee, man. Really enjoyed that Kona, man.
That was good stuff.
That was good stuff, man. We know, hey, we know where things are. We know where Yermo is. All right, let's talk about a couple things. Of course, Taquan Gilmore, as Randy mentioned, he set a record against Torres. City section record, 9 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns. I mean, there's about 50 different, reports on this kid. Anywhere from 7 to 10 touchdowns, so we'll give him 9.
Right, we have him down for 9, and the city section's been around since 1738, I think. So I mean, anytime you can break a record in the city section, I mean that means something. 9 touchdowns. I mean that's just crazy.
All right, a good shot of him right there, man.
And 451 yards rushing. I think that's a pretty good day at the office right there.
Yeah, he's killing it, man. And you just love to see guys like him. Look, he doubles as an equipment manager. He's there against all his equipment. He's ready to go.
He's showing you all the weights he's been lifting.
That's how good he is. He needs all that stuff.
You got to get 451 and 9 touchdowns. You better lift all those weights.
Heck yeah. All right, Bob. Also, Jennifer Ibarra made a point after touchdown for Garfield, the Bulldogs. And you got to love that.
Yeah, really
soccer
cool
stuff.
Right, of course. A soccer player, of course, and you have to have guessed that. But, to actually make this extra point, everybody at Garfield's just got to be excited for that. And, we've seen some female players, around the southern section and the city section over the years. But first time at Garfield High School, and, Garfield's one of the more storied schools in Southern California history. So, good to see. Good to see the girls representing out there.
You can name all the high schools, the big ones, Bob. You got Early, you got anybody in the Trinity League,
right.
All these schools. And none of these schools have played in front of bigger crowds more often and in the history of high school football than Garfield and Roosevelt.
Oh.
Those guys play every year in front of about 25,000 people. And some years they're both haven't won a game going into that game, but they still sell it out, Bob.
It doesn't matter. The community shows up. Everybody comes. Roosevelt, you're on the Roosevelt side. Yep. Garfield, you're on the Garfield side.
Absolutely.
For life.
Absolutely.
All these alumni come back. They love to be part of it every year. It's
and
great.
The funny thing is, you get all these groups together, and it's definitely dividing line. One's Boyle Heights, one's East Los Angeles, but they don't fight. They don't scrap.
No,
they just have a football game, buddy.
They're just having fun,
have
right?
A churro, brother. It's fantastic.
It's a great rivalry.
But it's great to see those guys play more than in front of bigger crowds than anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Just want a little message to some of the high school kids, man. I know you guys like to emulate your stars. You like to do what they do. You like to wear your pants like Michael Jordan or talk like Charles Barkley. But, man, these kids are starting to get in on the anthem protests. Yeah. And I will not give anybody any credit for doing it. Stop it. Just play the game, man. No, politics has gotten into everything. And now I'm reading where across the country we got kids in Iowa, and they're kneeling, they're sitting, they're disrespecting, in a sense, because there's no reason for them to be doing it. Not really.
There was a story of a Pop Warner team, 9-year-old kids that did it. Come on.
That's their parents, man.
Right. That's the parents or the coaches or somebody giving them that idea. 9-year-old kids don't know to do that. And I don't think it's really proper for high school kids either. Let the adults figure out what the issues of the day are.
Stop being played,
right,
man.
Exactly.
Kaepernick's message got hijacked a long time ago.
Yes,
everybody's doing it for attention. Even the NFL owners. And the funny thing about the NFL owners is 1 week they're all together against the president's, what he was saying about standing and not disrespecting the flag and so forth. And then now they're all going like, well, you know what? He is right. So now Jerry Jones is out there. Everybody's out there saying, our guys will stand. They will stand.
At some point here, right, somebody has to say, look, we're all going to get together and have a discussion rather than all this game playing with
high school kids. All you have to do is look. Kaepernick got blackballed. Don't do it. There's colleges looking at you guys. don't give them any ideas that you're some kind of rabble-rouser or troublemaker, because you won't get that scholarship, even if you're worthy of it. They'll walk away from you.
True.
All right, let's take a look at the nation's top 10. And we look at the nation's top 10 because it's loaded with teams here in Southern California, starting with Mater Dei, number 1 team in the country. They did nothing. After scoring 72 points last week against Orange Lutheran, they did nothing to it was a Santa Margarita. It did nothing to dispel their ranking, number 1. ING Academy, of course, continued to win. Corona Centennial hung 72 up this week. American Heritage moved up, all right? St. John Bosco, of course, number 5. Grayson of Georgia, followed by Bishop Gorman, fighting their way all the way back after that devastating loss to Mater Dei. The first time they ever lost to a California school. And then you got Bingham, Utah, followed by Allen, Texas, and then Central of Florida. Mission Viejo checking in at 20. Bobby Johnson, Orange County Bob.
Still trying to get it done.
Crawling up, baby,
Getting
on his
it
way
done.
out the door.
Getting it done.
You know, now, if Bob Johnson gets close, if he wins CIF this year and gets close to the national championship, do you think he'll come back?
No.
All right.
I think that's.
I'm asking. That's a fair
that
answer.
solidifies him going out the door. If he could go out on his players' shoulders, you know, getting carried out after another CIF championship, and who knows, maybe a state title run if they could do that. What a way to go out. Then you say, okay, you're done, and that's the way you ride out.
You think they'll write him out like that?
Oh, absolutely. Why
All
wouldn't
right.
they? Why wouldn't they? He's
I'm
a
just
legend.
saying. All right.
That's how legends go out.
All right. I don't think Ansich went out that way, do you?
No, that's true.
All right.
That's
Take it
true.
easy. All right, let's take a look now at the matchups for this week. These are some key games, some things we thought you might look at. Of course, nothing's bigger in the LA City section than this game, although this year may not be quite as competitive, but Crenshaw and Dorsey are two of the most storied programs in Southern California. Dorsey has actually placed the second, in terms of from all-time amount of athletes and the football players in the professional ranks, right behind Long Beach Poly. And that's all time, by the way.
Just great athletes all across the board every year from Crenshaw and Dorsey. That's what makes this such a fun
Paul
game.
Knox is gone now. You know, the old mainstay at Dorsey's
Right.
gone.
But
And
Robert Garrett's still over there.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you got always two good teams. I don't care about the records. Throw them out. You know this is going to be a good game.
Right. All right, let's move on. Take a look at another matchup. We have Los Altos and Charter Oak. Every year, this is for the Hacienda League Championship, and the winner of this game usually goes to the CIF Finals. Nothing changes this year. Charter Oak ranked number 1 in their respective division. Los Altos number 8 in their respective division. Even though they're in the same league, they no longer lump you in the playoffs that way. You can be lumped in another division altogether.
You think Los Altos is feeling pretty good about themselves, seeing that Charter Oak just got by last week by a touchdown?
I think Charter Oak didn't show them anything. I think they went out there and ran a basic offense. Don't want to show Los Altos anything. Lou Farrar is going to go out there this week with a whole new game plan and just decimate those guys.
I'll buy that.
All right, that's pretty good.
Oh, actually, that is
I
pretty
made
good.
all
I'll buy
up right
that.
now,
No,
but no, I just think that maybe they didn't want to give them everything in their arsenal. A lot of teams will do that. They'll
A lot
hide.
of teams, I agree. I know there's teams in the Trinity who aren't putting stuff in the package right now because they don't want anyone to see it on film.
You have three seasons. You have the first half of the season where you're playing your preseason games, and you got your second season in league, and you don't want to show anybody in the preseason what your league boy. And then once you got a league, you got to dress it up again for the playoffs.
Playoff time, right?
All right, let's take a look at the final matchup of the night, and this is a big game. Everybody knows it. The loser of this game is out of the Trinity League title run, and it's Bosco Mater Dei. What can you say, Bob?
Well, it's at El Camino College. You know you're going to get one of the biggest crowds in Southern California, and you should, because number 1 and number 5 in the entire nation doing battle here. I really don't know what to expect. I mean, I know Mater Dei put up 70, but Bosco is still Bosco, and I give them every chance to come out with a win in this one.
Well, they're moving this game to El Camino College because it's bigger than the Home Depot Center where the Chargers play. And they needed a big place for this game, and that's why they're going to El Camino College, right, Rob? That's what they're doing.
This will draw more people than the Charger game. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
This will.
A lot of interest. Thank God it's going to be on TV, man.
I know.
Get to sit where it's nice and cool and wait for the radio show to come on. Bob will be sitting there watching it, man.
I love it.
All righty. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Bob, it was a quick week,
Went by
man.
quick
All
again.
kinds of stuff going on. We're going to
Man,
change
crazy.
things up, and then we're going to start now that league plays and league play is in play. A lot of these games actually mean a lot now. We'll start dragging coaches and players in here as the weeks move on, Bob.
Absolutely. Can't wait to
Leading
talk
on
to
to the
them.
playoffs. All right, that's it. On behalf of Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. We'll see you next week.